everybody. This is Martin John, and we are here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written around the same time a lot of scholars believe the Old Testament was written. This is significant. Anything that was written first is you're not gonna learn how to write and then write bad jokes. You know what I mean? Like those are gonna come later. When writing is easier, but when you dedicate your life to learning how to write, or dedicate part of your life to learning how to communicate in writing form, before that was something that was done. Like not everyone wrote, but you wanted to write for some reason. You took it upon yourself. I mean, emperors wrote and leaders wrote, and they were raised in areas that are in with privilege to be able to do that. But if you're just a regular person, and you learn how to write in the beginning of writing, this is mentorships and stuff. There's not school, other things like that. Like school was going out in the field for most people and being able to provide food and shelter. That was it. So it's significant when we come across ancient texts. That's why the Bible, the Old Testament, is so important. The Torah and all these books that were the Torah wasn't written. I don't know when it was written, actually. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that. But the Tao Te Ching was written, between 6 and 400 BC, and it's a text that's been with humans for a long time. So we're going to talk about the Tao Te Ching today on this show. It's more of a kind of I don't know what sort of show this is. I don't know if it's a self-help show or if it's an oracle show or if it's a psychic show. Like I'm not a psychic or an oracle or anything, but I use the Tao, and I present it in a way that it can be used as an oracle. So I ask you to pick a number between 1 and 81, and then we go in and read that verse of the Tao. And we do that by getting an energetic baseline before you pick a number about what's going on in your life and what you're up to. So I got a workshop coming up, and I'm going to go ahead and pick a random number. I mentioned that I got a workshop coming up because that's my baseline right now. Today I'm going to be working on the handouts and the deck and making sure that I have it all in my mind. I'm going to do some odd chores around the house, making sure I'm prepared so I don't have to stress out later in the week. I got to make my cats food, right, Lou? Got to make her food. And so that's kind of what's going on with me. I went with the random number generator today, and that's number 3. Even though I used a random number generator, electricity is really, I believe it's an electric universe. I believe everything is, everything kind of at its core is electric in some fashion. And so, because I built a baseline talking about my workshop coming up, things I got to do, because I built a baseline and then picked a random number. There's energetic. I am connected energetically to electricity. The electricity is going through the computer, and the random number generator is an algorithm is being calculated through electricity and through the electric impulses of the computer. So it's all assigned. I don't have to pick a number with my brain, because my brain is connected to everything, right? My mind is connected to everything. This is at the core of everything that is Tao. It is there is only Tao, and Tao has consciousness, and so there is a connection between everything. That's why it's so important for you and I when you come on. Well, we don't have to find a baseline, because there is a baseline anyway, but we can find it, quote unquote, conspicuously, so I can ask, like, what's going on in your life? And that way, when you pick a number, we can conspicuously talk about it. Now, you could just come on, say 3, and then not say anything. I read it, you go away, and I can just trust that what transpired was what needed to transpire. I don't necessarily have to inject myself into anything, and we don't necessarily need to have a conspicuous conversation about it. It's probably boring for other people, but I like it. I like the fact that it happens anyway. So yeah, the number that came up for me today in the random number generator was number 3, inspiring strong people. Oh, look at that. I'm talking all about my workshop and what I want to do. This is a thing that I want to do, right? I do want to inspire strong people. I'm gonna bring Chelsea up. I do like this number 3 though.
Good morning.
Good morning. You had an attack yesterday. Not you personally, but you had to deal with that.
Yes, an asthma attack. There was a student who was in the auditorium and went into a full-fledged asthma attack and had an allergy reaction to peanuts that were sitting next to the student. They weren't eating the peanuts. The other student was eating the peanuts, and somebody must have touched the student, and the student ended up having a peanut allergy, and it was pretty intense for a couple of 45 minutes, EMTs and everything. So,
do you guys have EpiPens around and stuff?
Yes, they do. They have them, they have them in the nurses station, and then they also have them in emergency places, such as close to the offices and things like that. They're very on top of it about making sure the children who I think the child actually did have it, so I had one with them because they have a natural allergy to peanuts. But I was the sign language interpreter. It was not my student, so I wasn't very involved with the situation. I heard bits and pieces of it, but then we all had to leave and, give them privacy to deal with the situation. So I didn't get a lot. Absolutely. But I had to go. It happened right when I was on the chat with you, and you were going right into explaining the number I picked, and and I was like, okay, I have to go, and I didn't say goodbye. I felt a little rude.
No. And I don't want anyone, life is going on around us all the time. And if you go away, I don't ever take that personal, or I don't ever take that as a slight.
I didn't say bye. I left.
And again, because life happens so rapidly. It's there are times where, your time runs out. And people have to just go, and they can't come back on. I never want people to feel like they need to abide etiquette with me. We talk about etiquette in the Tao, and etiquette is nice when we can do it, but sometimes there's just a situation, and that is a situation. And I don't have to know what that situation is, because if you're doing it, I trust it's the right thing to do. So. Are you still with me? Oh,
there you are. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. He's going to think I'm messing with his mind.
I was like, did it happen again? I was like,
right. So. Numbers. So, have you picked a number today?
I picked one, and we could go through that together if you don't have a number.
Okay. What's the number that you picked?
Number 3.
Okay.
And it's entitled Inspiring Strong People. Right. And that's, I mentioned that I got this Tao workshop coming up. And that was going to be sort of my baseline. And so I was like, oh, this is nice, because what I want to do with the Tao in general, the Tao Te Ching in general, and what I want to do with this workshop and stuff is to have people really realize that this is a text that you can use, in your life, is so that you can realize who you are out from under the influence of people wanting something from you. From what was that?
Oh, I said from everyone. I mean, so never mind.
From other people, like marketing and the society wanting you to be a certain way and want to say all of that, and like that's what I meant. I said from everybody else's point of view. Yeah.
I ended up having a counseling session that I was given because of my son's cognitive. It's basically considered cognitive therapy because he has the non-epileptic seizures, and I am required to myself go through counseling, and I went to the counseling session, and I was triggered because I felt like, I had to talk about, the situation with my son's health and the things like that. And they were pushing me to, deep breathing exercises. And I realized I really don't have enough experience with it, and I struggle so hardly with it. And I wanted to actually ask you about your workshops. I saw that you have a website, and I didn't really get a chance. I got called into another job, so I never really got to look into it. But what is this workshop that you're going to be doing soon?
Well, this is coming up on Saturday, and it is just an intro to the Tao Te Ching. It isn't like it is an intro to how to use the Tao Te Ching to help guide a modern life. That's like the topic, and that's how I'm going to approach it. So I'm going to talk about the things we talk about here, but it's going to be a 2.5 hour sort of bookended thing where it's like I've designed people can walk away.
Are you charging?
I'm doing it through. Yeah, I am doing it through through a yoga studio that I'm a resident healer at, and so there is charging.
Is there openings still for?
Oh yeah. There are. And there are links. I'm going to the website.
I saw your link. I went into your website yesterday, and I saw.
So right on the top of the page, there's a link that'll take you to the yoga studio's website, so you can register.
Okay, well, I will register, and I will be at your workshop Saturday. That would be wonderful. It would be great. I've been having such a nice time talking to you, and it really has been really helping me with kind of just trying to figure out how to quiet my mind, because what I realize is I've got such a chaotic job where I'm constantly communicating, I'm constantly talking to teenagers, talking to adults, talking, and it's not that it's stressing me out. I love my job. I really do love the teenagers. I love the kids. I love everything about it. But I'm worn out. I'm really worn out. And when I ended up having this counseling session yesterday, I got so emotional, and I really was like, I was kind of almost mad at myself because she was pointing out to me that I have some real issues with my self-esteem. And I know that. I know I have a history of struggling to want to be different and wanting to be able to conquer things that I haven't been able to attain. And and so she got a really good, kind of a good, put me in kind of a place where I had to think about those things. And she was telling me, well, you really need to learn how to do some deep breathing. And I said to myself, oh, well, I met the perfect person, I think, to do this with.
Yeah. And I do. And so, I mentioned this yesterday, that you fill space, and that you fill space with your voice. And so you do have shallow breathing. Right. And that's really what I was pointing at. But that's not a bad thing. We keep a tight chest when we're afraid of judgment, when we're afraid of doing something wrong, when we're afraid of, and all of that is kind of wrapped up in things that we've talked about.
Right.
And so And that's why pretending that you can focus on your chest, or you can focus on your shoulders and release them and things like that, when you can just pretend eventually you get to be able to do it.
You're able to do it. See, I find that when I hear people say that to me, I'm like, how do people do that? All I can think about is this voice inside my head. I have this relationship with the voice inside my head. I've named her occasionally, and sometimes I change her name, but I feel like she's separate from me because I feel she can be super critical. And so we have a really kind of rough relationship, but I feel very detached from her. Like, I feel like she's not my best friend. And I know that sounds very odd, but it's something that I've struggled with because when I am inside my head and I've caught myself being negative, I feel like I'm projecting it on this being that I feel is separate of me. And I know that sounds insane, but
no. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, that's a real thing. And that's see, so I think you probably know that I'm in recovery, right? So I got 23 years clean and sober,
yes,
24 in December, all that kind of stuff. So I talk about this idea of like recovering yourself. And when you recover yourself, you recover to who you are. And now this person that's in your head, this woman that's all judgmental and stuff, that is a part of you that requires some love. And it's really hard to love these parts of ourselves, especially when we're in a state like you're in, where it's like there is resistance to even accepting that person is a part of you. And so that's at the core of so much of what I do. And yes, deep breathing is going to help. And deep breathing, so it's sort of like a cyclical thing. And there's never a really good way to enter except like to just decide to enter into that cycle. And then once you enter the cycle of recognizing yourself and being with yourself, and then the deep breathing comes, and the more awareness of the body comes, and the better choices you start to make. So awareness comes and all of that. And that's a big part of what I do. So when I work with clients or whatever, it's in these 4 sessions, and it's all about looking at yourself, and it starts with me painting a portrait of my client and stuff. And so, if that's something that you'd be interested in, of course we can talk about it. But, ultimately everything that I talk about in the Tao, everything that I talk about on this show and stuff really kind of points to that idea of like really recovering who you are. Because at some point you took on that role of criticizing yourself, and then you built it as a frame of reference, and that frame of reference continues to tell you about yourself in the world today, even though it's 40 years on. Right? It's like you're letting a 7-year-old drive your car or whatever. It's like you're letting a 7-year-old drive your life as an adult. And it's like, well, why would you do that? Like that's like once you start recognizing and recognizing, knowing, and awareness are all 3 different things. And it's important to understand how to add awareness. And that's where it's like, you don't like that you do this, but you're going to do it until you don't. And really kind of stepping back that judgment. And so that's what I have to say about that. But yes, I concur with the session that you had, that your breathing is shallow, and I can hear it because you're always filling. It's like emptying is going to be something that really would benefit. But whatever. Like, I mean, you're gonna navigate this perfectly, and I'm glad that you were attracted to this show and that we can do this. And number 3, I know you're muted. I don't know if you know you're muted, but you can join me again at any time. I know you're working and stuff, or you're there. So. However that
Are you there?
Works out.
Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
I actually, I had to mute you for a moment because I had a teacher come up and I needed to speak with you, but I was listening.
Yeah, I figured. That's why I just continued. And once I noticed that you were muted, I mean, I know you're in the auditorium. I think are you in the auditorium?
Right now, I'm in the gym. Actually,
in the gym. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
One day is a gym. One day it is quite chaotic. Speaking to you on these, because of the noise, and I've gotten kind of a little entertained by it a little bit because it's interesting. Because I have struggled most of my life to have noise around me when I'm trying to concentrate and communicate. But this job that I've been doing this school year has taught me so much about being able to train my brain to concentrate when I need to with all the extra noise going around me, because a lot of the instruction is happening when there's the auditorium is chaotic and they're getting ready to do a play. And then it's also because he's doing a theater class, and then there's the other class which it's film and theater mixed together, but they do some theater and they do monologues, and then there is the gym and it's both so noisy, and I'm like, should I come on? But I've enjoyed so much talking to you.
I'm so glad you do. And I never mind. And you're going to drop off in a second. If you wanted to come back up, and of course you're welcome to. But I really love that you come up anyway. And I don't mind the audio in the background, the noise and stuff. It could be contributing to your being tired, because this isn't ideal for you, the ideal environment for you to be able to work and be able to do all of that. Now I brought you back up, but maybe that was erroneous. So either way, one of the great things about number 3, which is the one I'm going to read about, and Chelsea, I'm still speaking directly to you, is this is about inspiring strong people. And that is kind of your role as, the interpreter, as you do, and a teacher, but you're not, I mean, I don't know if you are a teacher because, you have kids, but my guess is those kids are the kids that you're signing for, and that you go around and help translate and do all of that. So this is a really great verse, I think, because it is about how do we inspire strong people. And it says, praising the status one can achieve will chastise those who don't achieve it. Praising a possession that can be owned will condemn those who don't own it. When nothing arouses competition, people will be at peace. The master leads by not defining status or possession. She weakens the ambition of those around her, which toughens their resolve to be as they are. By individuals releasing ambition, everything falls into place. So that last line, by individuals releasing their ambition, everything falls into place. Ambition is an interesting thing. I'm having a workshop. And so it could be said that that is an ambition to have that workshop. But I wasn't going to do a workshop. I published the Tao, and then a friend of mine was like, you got to celebrate. And I was like, why? Why do I have to do anything around this? And I didn't want to. I wasn't sort of called to do anything. I didn't feel like it was not worthy of it, but I didn't feel like I wanted to put the effort in to do it. And I called that just like, well, I don't really have a preference for celebrating. And eventually it turned out that Delcian, I'll be with you in 1 second. I just want to finish this thought really quick. So I didn't have any ambition to do it. I didn't have any preference to do it. I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to put it out there. And then I realized that I had a rigidity to not doing that. So it was just like, no, I don't want to celebrate. That's not kind of how I do things. And I'm okay with that. And then I realized that I did have to at some point. I had to face that hard rule. And by facing that hard rule, I'm doing this workshop. Whether people show up or not is not the point. The point is that I'm doing it. And then when you look at the beginning here, praising the status one can achieve will chastise those who don't achieve it. If you praise the status one can achieve, they will have ambition to achieve that status because it's being praised. Praising a possession that can be owned will condemn those who don't own it. If you say that owning a sports car is better than owning a Camry, then you're telling people that they should want a sports car, and that possession will cause people to have ambition to try and earn enough money and all of a sudden everything is competition. Because I have to compete with you for this limited resource. When nothing arouses competition, people would be at peace. And you want to lead by not defining status or possession. You are just you. You aren't you because of your identity. You aren't you because you have these things. You aren't you because you have this status. You are a CEO. You aren't you because of all of these things. You are you because of what you do, what you find important. So she weakens the ambition of those around her, which toughens their resolve to be as they are. Don't praise anything. And if you drive up in a Ferrari, you should greet that person the same way you're going to greet someone that drives up in a Camry. Give them a hug and offer to make them a cup of tea. We can't praise things because they'll think their ambition is what's driving their purpose. Delshin, or how do I pronounce that? Delshin Grosh? So a lot of times on this app, there's a couple things. Sometimes maybe you don't connect your mic. Other times you don't mean to come up and talk. And you're just trying to figure out the app or whatnot.
Oh, sorry, I lost you.
No, you're with me now.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, Martin. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Nice.
We haven't talked before, I don't think, have we?
No, I don't think so, honestly. It's been kind of just been on and off here for a while, but I've seen you on here, so I want to stop by now just because I'm just kind of just randomly on. So
yeah, I'm glad you came on. How do I pronounce your name?
It's Delshawn.
Delshawn? Okay. Yeah. I just, I put the two together, but I wasn't sure exactly how to, because at first you never know where it might be like, because my name could be Martin because I'm Spanish, right? So it's like,
no, exactly.
There's always something.
Yeah, man.
So, what's going on with you, or what are you thinking about?
I'm just kind of jamming out right now. I actually just a little bit ago finished my meditation, and I saw the Tao, and I was like, I love the Tao, even though I can't really say much about it because I'm not as studied on it as I'd like to be. But
it's not about study; it's about observation. Like, sure, there are 81 chapters, right? Yeah, and you can talk about those things, but you are Tao. So, when you find stillness in yourself, like you know everything you need to know.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, no, it's wonderfully said. Yeah, and it's that simple.
Because if it relied on you having read it to know Tao, then it wouldn't be truth. You know what I mean?
It wouldn't be truth. But I will say this one thing though, like it's like even though the first verse of the Tao is that which can't be spoken. You would just because I do practice the internal martial arts and such, and that's quite a mountain to climb of its own.
And that's the first verse, right?
The first verse. I will say this though, there are these really beautiful like nuances and hints at like what it's like to experience the subtle energy, the Tao. But one of my favorite verses is concentrate the key, and you will be as supple as a baby, or something along those lines. But to me, that's a direct verse of, as you said, when you become still, your breath is sunk into the body. You have your energetics correct, if you will.
Yeah.
And you still the mind and the breath. Something kind of crazy does happen. The chi starts to move through your body. It starts to animate it. The tissues start to fill. And this is why, where practices like Tai Chi develop from, which is, often said to be like the perfect embodiment of the Tao, because it really, compared to the other internal martial arts, apparently Tai Chi really follow the Tao. But, no, but you're right though. It's like, it's not something you really have to study or learn, but for those curious seeking minds that just cannot, put down research, it is like kind of like a nice companion when you're like kind of trying to walk the path in a way.
It's but and that's the my buddy Dr. Rao comes on here all the time and reminds us that it's like, well, if you can't quiet the mind to the research, then it's interesting because we're looking at I'm right now I'm looking at 3. I'm going to ask you for a number in a moment, but it's praising the status one can achieve will chastise those who don't achieve it. And even in the spiritual practices, and in the martial practices, what we end up doing is like praising a status, praising a destination, and then or praising like there's measurement in so much of that. Like how good are you, or how focused are you, or and that measurement in and of itself creates desire and creates ambition to achieve. And what this one says, this praising the status one can achieve will chastise those who don't achieve it.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I love that. I haven't heard that one, but that one actually really resonated with me. Just especially like recently too, like, I don't know, I'm just like I'm, my early 30s, like in and out of my relationships, but I've been single for like a while and like, did the whole college thing and kind of like decided to like not go that path, just been kind of living life and such, and having my own ambitions along the way for quite a while was kind of how, life has been for me for the most part, for everyone, right? Having these goals, these ideas of success that we want to reach, and like just all the things that come with like cultural pressures, I guess, to just fit in. And, like being alone for like the last like 3 years. And I guess like I still have family around, but like, and I'm actually pretty sociable, but like my favorite time is just by myself. So it's been just a nice time to just, explore and, I don't know, face my shadow, all that, I guess stuff.
So, I mean, if you haven't listened to me too much, you might not know, but I did mention it earlier that I'm in recovery. So 23 and, 24 years clean and sober. And so I talk, thanks. So I talk about the idea of living under the influence, right? I talk about living under the influence of society, living under the influence of your parents, living under the influence of the economic and the education system, living under the influence of all of these things. All of these things want you to live. And when you go out in the world and have ambition to achieve a status or achieve a possession, get something like a thing, like you are forgetting about yourself along the way. Like when you're like that status is more important than me, and wow. I then overlay myself on the ambition and say, well, the ambition is coming from me.
Wow.
But before that, we've already fallen under the influence of something. And so our thoughts are suspect.
Wow. Yeah. It's almost like you're chaining yourself up in some way to something that like, right. It's like you're trying to contain yourself in something that's like not even greater than you. Cause how can something that you created or like you're the
right.
cause
How
of
can anything be? Right.
Yeah. Like how could a goal that you have be greater than you? Like it's something that you like created. So, and,
right.
Just for example, so it's just funny how like but just adding to what you said too, it's kind of like it's like, I don't know, like another thing with the Tao too is like, man, sometimes some of these like what might sound like depressing verses like kind of hit me, man. Like, and I'm like, damn, am I like a low key depressive? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think they meant it in that term, but I kind of there's like a neutrality that I experience a lot, like when I, do things like, maybe meditate, maybe a little too much, or like, fast, just do things to like practice, I guess, stilling my mind and just
let's I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to ask you to pick a number between 1 and 81.
1 and 81. I don't know, 37, 79, one of those two. Well, I have to pick one.
37. Inspired action is 37. So this is the last verse of the first part, right? This is the Tao part. This is about the individual. This is this is right before we start looking at how we act in the world. This is about us, right? So this is inspired. This is entitled Inspired Action. I always like to look at the title and just kind of take in what we're about to hear. We're going to hear something about acting in our lives from a state of inspiration. Let's just start there. Now, what it says is, Tao never does anything, yet inspires everything to do. When beings maintain the action of Tao, they spontaneously transform from within. When that transformation acquires a name, external forces inspire action from desire. Actions without identity are free from external goals. Without desire, honoring stillness, all things are at peace. So in that first verse that we mentioned earlier, that really kind of drove us to this identity, right? This identity that you have of an ambitious person wanting success in a certain way. We're gonna look at that from the perspective of desire in this verse of inspired action. Mm-hmm. So Tao never does anything, yet inspires everything to do. So you get inspired to move in a certain direction. Now, I don't know what direction you're moving in when you were younger, and I don't know, you were moving in the direction of the martial arts, or maybe you were moving in the direction of being a teacher, or maybe you were moving in the direction of, I don't know. But you were inspired at some point to move in some direction. When beings can maintain the action of Tao, they spontaneously transform from within. So you were inspired and you moved in a certain direction and you were transformed into the person you were going to become. However, the next line is, when that transformation acquires a name. What do you think that means? When that transformation acquires a name?
Man, it's so hard for me to not see it in the context of like martial arts, the Chinese martial arts, of course. It brings to mind this idea of Wu Wei, basically.
That's it.
Yeah. Say less, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's effortless effort, right? Like the whole idea of, as you said, like the greatest effort is like no effort. When nothing, how does it go? When nothing is done, everything is done.
Right. So what this is looking at is when beings maintain the action of Tao, when you're acting from inspiration, you transform from within. But then if you identify with that transformation, you start to tell yourself you're a teacher. So you initially did something that was inspired, and you were praised for inspiring another person, let's say. But you didn't even inspire yourself. You were inspired by Tao to do something. That other person saw that in you and they were inspired. This is what Tao does. Tao doesn't do anything. He inspires everything to do. So you're feeling inspired. You say something and you feel like a teacher. You've transformed from within. Oh my God, look at this. Look at who I am. Now can you proceed without identifying with it and just recognize that you're part of Tao? Or are you going to reduce yourself to the title of teacher?
Wow. Reduce yourself, huh? Wow. Interesting.
Right? So now, instead of being Deshaun, a temporary expression of Tao, you are Deshaun, the teacher. Boop, boop, boop. This, okay, if that's what you want, right? So you've now acquired a name, teacher. When that transformation, when that transformation that came from Tao, that came from all of history and all of time and all of the universe, inspired you to do this, you've reduced it to teacher. And that transformation acquired a name. Now, when that happens, external forces inspire action from desire. You now want other people to see you as a teacher, so you have to prove yourself out in the world as a teacher. So the external forces, what people expect a teacher to say, what people expect a teacher to do, you now have to align with. Because you have an identity as a teacher, and there are external forces now forcing you to uphold that title, that name.
It's really insidious when you think about it, man. It's like, this is praise,
right? Mm-hmm. This is what happens when we get addicted to the dopamine of praise.
Yeah.
That's what if we look back to now. You only have like 20 seconds. If you get dropped off and want to come back and you have the time, please do. Mm-hmm. When we look at that form number 3, praising the status one can achieve will chastise those who don't achieve it. Praising a possession that can be owned will condemn those who don't own it. Like, that's what this is also talking about. It's talking about, hey, you got praised for something and you got tripped up, and now you're looking at externals. And all of those externals are the things that you're running your life. You are now separate. You have now closed a sort of a part of yourself off because you want now to feel that, that rush of inspiration that you had with Tao. But you're looking for it externally rather than looking for it through the inspiration and the openness. Like, you're not open to everything anymore. You've allowed yourself to, like I said, reduce yourself to the title of teacher. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's not a bad thing. Like, a teacher's a wonderful thing, but Deshaun is capable of much more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I love the subtle nuance of just like what you're hinting at here. It's like something, just, I guess the example you're using just brings to mind just, I guess, other, as above, so below kind of examples,
Oh, yeah.
You can even see that play out with oneself, myself, for example, as I do, maybe have these flashes of like, I guess, insight into my own meditation, into my own qigong, to my own, tai chi, my own breath work, my own mind. It's like when I have those flashes, it can be very like intoxicating, and like it can also maybe disillusion me into thinking like maybe I have it all figured out. And it's like, I feel like everyone has to go through that, in any of those practices.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Now, there's nothing like, even like you don't live a life in a body constantly connected to Tao, but you do. I mean, you do live a body, but your mind and your body believe they're separate. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you want to, so you start taking on identity. You start taking on things to elevate yourself because we have competition, because we have comparison.
Yeah, man. And it's like, I'm glad we're having this conversation because, lately it's crazy we're having this talk, man, because I had a moment recently where like I was feeling again like neutral to the point where it can maybe almost be interpreted as like depression, or like what's not depression, but like jadedness maybe. I didn't want to go as far as nihilism, but like I just seeing through the illusions of like the Matrix, right? Like, and seeing like not just the Matrix, but the illusions of your own mind, right? And in the activity of the Matrix, like, oh, you know, my title, I'm this, I want to do this, I like this, and like I must do this, and it's like not even that having those interests or your own like propensities of mind and whatever, like necessarily like are like evil or bad, but it's like
no,
the
it's
act
all
of
stupid.
like
It's all stupid.
Right, it's all stupid.
That's been my mantra for a long time now. And
Right.
and it's like, and it's good that it's all stupid, because if you do it anyway, that means you want to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If being a millionaire is just as stupid as being a plumber or being a fucking, or being an artist, if it's all just as stupid, if it's all just stupid, then the thing that you invest in is you. And you're not investing in status, and you're not investing in possession, and you don't have ambition to acquire something you don't want, because it all has the same level. It's all like my Tao, this show, stupid. But I love doing it, so I'm going to do it anyway. Now, if somebody comes to me and says, your show's not valid, I'll be like, I know, but I like doing it, so get it up yet.
So fuck off.
That's right. Like, and it doesn't even have to be, it's not about me convincing anybody that this is special. It's not.
Yeah.
If you want it to be, it can be, but it is not. It is just another stupid thing that you can invest in or not.
Absolutely. And, I think what you just laid out there is just like a perfect example of like the difference between, I guess, being caught up in the illusions versus like, I'm going to have fun with it, but I'm not for any second, mistaken that this is like just me playing out, some story that I call, Martin, that I call Bill.
Right.
And it's like, that's like as casually as I kind of just lay that out there. And, I'm not saying I'm like somehow like realized or exactly myself, but it's like, it's really not a easy thing for people to really, notice, right? That difference. It's like in meditation, right? Like when anyone who's attempted to meditate before knows that experience of like, when you start to first meditate and even later in meditation, you will have moments of like, where you just like, you blank out, it's like when you're driving on the freeway and, you go 5 minutes and like, you like had no idea you passed, like your exit like 10 minutes ago, right? But the same thing happens in meditation, and the same thing happens with our own, like, maybe like, I guess you call it awakening, but just in terms of that polar opposite. It's like most of us are living in that realm of like total lack of awareness of like, like, holy shit, I really think I'm just a bag of bones here. And like, I'm just, like there's nothing else to me. I'm mechanical, I'm just like, my name's Bob. My brain is here in my head. And like, it's like, I'm going to, I got 4 kids and I'm just saying like, like,
no, it's all identity.
Thank you.
And like you were mentioning about the meditation, like there's the moment that you are blank. And then there's the moment that you realize it and went, oh, I'm really meditating. But as soon as you say that, you're like, oh no, I'm not. It's all about achieving. It's rather than just allowing it to be like, oh, okay. It's all constant. Whether you're thinking or not thinking, it's the same. You're just allowing stillness in. It's not about success. It's about doing it. Like there's one verse that says, whether you do one or the other doesn't really matter. The difference is in the experience. So you're having this experience. Now, is this experience something that you're creating so you can praise yourself, so that you can pat yourself on the back, so you can feel special?
Right.
And then it's like when you recognize that, you're like, oh, well, do I like that I'm doing that? And then you either either do or you don't, and you keep doing it until you don't do it, and then and then at some point you're a different person and you're doing something different.
Yeah. No, man, you're really getting the juices freaking flowing here just with what you're saying. And man, one of the examples you brought to mind right now is a kind of a teaching by the Zen patriarch monk. He was a Zen monk. His name's running over me right now, but he's very popular here he came to the West in like the 40s. Oh, Shunryu Suzuki, I believe. Okay. Anyway, in his book on Beginner's Mind, which is just just piggybacking off what you're just saying here now about just the whole illusion of self and like getting caught up in like your own gain, right? Getting caught up in your own development or your own experience, I guess. Well, his book, his just the kind of Zen approach helped me in my, I guess stages of getting over that with, he says in there, when you meditate or when you sit down, he says, burn yourself in the experience. Like that's like one of the things he says. And, he has another verse too, where he says, after you meditate, you never say, oh, that was good. He has whatever his verse was, but I can't remember the exact verse, but you never say that was a good meditation or like I did a good meditation rather, because it creates this illusion of like, a gain, right? And it's like, and then also feeding the ego, etc. But it's hard to not do.
And that is at the core of this 37 as well, right? Because it says Tao never does anything, it inspires everything to do. So you were inspired by Tao to meditate. When beings maintain the action of Tao, they spontaneously transform from within. So you meditate for the first time and you actually like it. And you're like, oh, this is really nice. And I'm just being quiet. And you may even recognize a change after you meditate, right? So it's like, oh, I was able to calm my mind. Right. Well, then you start researching, because although you've spontaneously transformed from within, you are now aware of meditation. You're aware of what it can do. If that transformation acquires a name, and that transformation, that's what your buddy Suzuki's talking about, is like there is a good way to meditate. No, there isn't. There isn't a good meditation. There isn't a good, because if there was, we'd be creating a status that can be achieved.
Right.
And then we'd be saying that these are worthy of comparing, and they're not. Mm-hmm. Because this moment is not like that moment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you can't create a good. This is the meditation that is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And then that next line from your 37 is external forces inspire action from desire. The external forces are, well, I want to be a good meditator because I identify as a meditator. And so I want to be able to talk to people and tell them how good of a meditator I am. Now, this is external forces. And so what does that mean? That means, and then this is where in the park you find people like crossing their legs, touching their fingers, and then sitting under a tree and being like, look at how good of a meditator I am. But then you see the homeless guy who can sit on a bench for 12 hours and not move. Who's the better meditator?
It would depend on one or two things. If that man is is he truly developed, or is he on some really good freaking drugs or freaking?
I'm just saying, like, the homeless have now they're because they're homeless, they can't. They are on the verge of madness and other things like that because they don't have the ability to. They don't have a structure, but they can sit still with themselves. Now, yes, you're right. They're mad. They're in different states of mental acuity. However,
sure,
they're not judging themselves in that moment. Probably, you know what I mean? Where someone else is going to be sitting and like doing it because it's their identity. Mm-hmm. It's interesting when you're homeless. Like that could be your identity. And then you're stuck in that. And that's the external force that is inspiring actions, and those actions could be keeping you homeless.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
and so all of this is aligned with Tao, and it is inspiring you. Are you open to receiving that inspiration, or those external forces that are telling you things? And that's, trauma, all sorts of stuff are external forces. And then the last 4 lines, actions without identity are free from external goals. Without, they can't have identity. As soon as you have identity, as soon as you're a teacher, you have an identity of a certain kind of person, like even a man or a black man or a white man or whatever, right? Like all of that can be part of your identity. And if your identity is, I'm a teacher, or I'm this, I have an identity, and you have to prove that identity. Like, I have to prove that I'm a teacher. That's an external thing. Right? You have to prove it to other people because maybe you don't believe it yourself.
Man, yeah, that's a tough one, right? It makes me think of like all the gurus today and stuff. It's like,
they're all. I feel like so many, like, so in you. In everybody, there is a connection to Tao. There is a guru. There is someone that can lead the entire world. However, all of this is being driven by external goals, whether that's money or fame or whatever. And for me, it's like the last line here is where I want to be. Without desire, honoring stillness, all things are at peace. And that's where we all want it. I think that being at peace in your heart without having a desire, everyone's altering their lives to achieve some bullshit.
Seriously, some bullshit.
And it's not giving them anything but more anxiety. And all the more power to them, really. But
yeah. It's like, hey, if you want to go about working yourself that way. But man, thank you, dude. Thanks for the talk, bro. You're definitely.
Yeah, I'm really glad she came up. I look forward to speaking to you.
You as well.
Yeah. Melissa, thank you for your patience, first off. And then I have another person in line, and we'll get to them. Hey, Melissa, how are you?
I am very well, Martin John. How are you, my dear?
I am doing well. It was a nice conversation with Deshaun.
Dude, that was an awesome conversation. See, I had to ask you a question about that. So, like, what you guys were talking about, and I don't know where I heard this quote, but it's like, you're more than a sum of your parts. Is that kind of like what you were, because I mean, yes, Melissa is how people refer to me, and there are other titles that are utilized, but that's not who I am. I'm much more than, Melissa. I'm more than a teacher. I'm more than a woman. I'm like this essence that was created by the grand creator. Is that kind of what you guys were saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you, as Melissa, decide to plant your flag as a teacher, you've reduced your ability to see yourself as greater than that.
You always challenge my mind, Martin. I love it, dude. I love it.
Now, I've told people time and time again, like you can fill a book with thousands of pages of things that you identify as, and that's still less than you are, because there are things that you don't know you are. You're Tao. You're everything. You are me. Like, you're never going to write "I am Martin John" in a book that says, but you are. But if you're trying to identify everything that you are, you can only see the tip of the iceberg on that. You can only see what you've decided is, because, I've asked people in my Recover Yourself workshops, I have people write down a list of things they're good at and a list of things they're bad at. And then I ask them when they learned they were good and bad at those things. And they learned that they were bad at something when they tried to execute something and didn't get praise. And it's like, see, it has nothing to do with you being bad at it. It has to do with you not getting praise. So let's look at the stuff you're good at. Do you really think you're good at this? Or is this just something that you invested in because you got praise?
Again, you just blow my mind, my friend. And I wish I could talk longer, but I just walked into the doctor's office. I have an appointment, and I know you got somebody on the line. So we'll talk more later. Remember that you are amazing. I love you, and I will talk to you later, my friend.
Sounds good. Good luck at the doctor. Mayville is going to come up now. And then Mary, and then Chelsea's back in the queue. Chelsea, it's going to be a little bit. You can message me, or you can hang out. Mayville, how are you? Am I pronouncing that right?
Good morning, good morning, Martin, John.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. This is my first time I jump in your show because your show is always start early, and I'm here in California, so our time is different.
Yes.
And yes. And then I was like, oh my God, every time I wake up, and then I think I was in the last word, and then you say, okay, goodbye. It's like, I was like, oh, okay. And then I said, I just said, like, I think there's a perfect time that, one day I will jump in your show. I think this is the first time.
This is the first time.
This is the best time that I jump in for me. And, I do listening to your talk, like the
recording
the same one. So the one that I listen what you're saying. It's just like, for me, it's so fascinating because I'm a person that I am a believer. I am a believer, and for me, I believe, and I apply for it, and then it's just sometimes you cannot explain the result.
Good. Don't. Just
let it go. Just go with the flow. That's it. It's so, I don't know. It's just like, for me, it's so powerful. And then, I don't understand. And especially if I talk to, like, for example, if I talk to my husband, and sometimes he will say, like, hon, what are you talking about? Like, okay, you have to listen, but it's okay if you don't understand me.
Yes, it is a topic that I think when you are inspired to follow it, it really flows so nicely. But when you try and talk to people that have never thought about this, it is so foreign.
Exactly. Now, it is. But then, if this person is really interested to learn it, and then once you start talking, and then they will, like, they're listening to you, and then, oh my God, Mabel, is that true? Like, is this happening? Like, you know what? I'm not talking about this if I don't feel it. Why do I have to tell something that it's not true?
Yeah.
You have to tell a story. Like, for me, I tell my story purely and, freely, because I want to share to probably the listener whichever around me, that, you know what, sometimes life is difficult, but how you embrace it, how you accept it, it's so, you have to, it's not a rush, just step by step, and then you can do it, just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And whatever your experience is, whether you experience somebody not understanding or somebody being inspired or whatever, that's not about that experience is not about making you feel good.
Yes.
It's about you understanding that it's still part of everything else that you're living.
That's true. Oh my God.
And it's like, well, if you inspire someone, then you can just be like, oh, that's nice. That means that I'm inspired.
Yay! Awesome. This is the best. That's true. Yeah. So you see, guys. Yeah, it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's so, your word is so powerful. It's just like, I don't know. It's just crazy. Anyhow.
Yeah. What are you doing today? What is your plan?
My plan today, I just open my eyes and then, I'm sitting here and then I jump in your life and then I drink my cold tea. This is a herbal tea. And, sometimes I don't really drink hot tea. It's always like either the temperature one or just cold one.
Okay. Well,
So
let's pick it. Let's pick a number and see what we can. A number between 1 and 81.
What about you pick my number? Okay.
24.
Woo, 24.
24. Okay, 24 is do what is to be done. You were talking about, like when I asked you about your day, you were just talking about what you did. And it was like, and so this one is really nice. Do what is to be done. And I used the random number generator. I didn't know that this was going to come in. So let's look at this. It says standing on tiptoes robs you of firm footing. Rushing ahead robs you of knowing where you are. Looking at yourself robs you of seeing. Boasting of yourself robs you of your brilliance. Overpowering others robs you of your power. Clinging to your work robs you of longevity. If you want to align with Tao, just do what is to be done and then stop. Like this is the first time we've spoken, and from what I know about you, I can probably say that your life can tend to do this. Now, I don't know.
Oh my God. Okay, keep going.
Because, we've only talked for a little bit, like I said, but it seems like you take everything in your life very much for face value. Where you just say, hey, this is what it is. I'm not going to argue about it. I'm not going to want or not want this to have happened. This is, like talking to your husband and he's like, what are you talking about? And then you say, oh, sweetheart, I know you try, but
Oh my God, it's so... I don't know. It's just I just say, oh my hands is my hands is all, it's in my head and just like this is our first time. This is my first time. It's just like I agree with that. I agree that reading. I'm just I said like I am honest that I believe in reading. And that one is so, I don't know, I cannot say anything. It's just right.
Yeah. This one, standing on tiptoes robs you of firm footing. Trying to look ahead, trying to get, be taller. Any reason you would stand on your tiptoes to try and do something, it's like, no, keep your feet flat on the ground. This is stay. Don't try and impress. Just be firm. Rushing ahead robs you of knowing where you are. This is like destination thinking, when it's like, oh, like I was talking to Deshaun about that, this idea of like, oh, I want a title. I want a destination. I want an identity. And so, but look at where you are. Don't think about where you're going. Be here. Be now.
Yes.
Looking at yourself robs you of seeing, when you're constantly, when your ego is filling your life with everything. It's like you can't see what's going on around you. You can't see the love that you're surrounded by and the people that are surrounding you. Overpowering others robs you of your power. Clinging to your work robs you of longevity. As an artist, I know that if I make a painting and I love that painting, I love it so much I don't want to sell it. That's clinging to my work. But that painting can't live its life. It's kind of like having a child, and it's like, no, I love this child. I don't want you to leave my home. And then you lock them up in the basement. Is that the right way to raise a child? No. You have to let your child, your work, your identity, your paintings, your whatever it is you do, you have to let it out into the world to live its life. Because your work is a being just as you are. And your work wants to meet other people. And your work wants to serve other people. And your work wants to embrace other people. And by your work going out into the world, my paintings, if you make digital work, if you make whatever, if it goes out into the world, it's inspiring others, and that inspiration is going to outlive you.
Yes, amen. Thank you for that. Thank you for the reading. It's just, I'm a believer of this, and you know what, John Martin, I grew up with my grandma. She's already in heaven, but for me, I believe that she is my angel, and she always guides me anywhere I go. And it's just her legacy. I still keep it because it's just pure for me. And it's just, my mother-in-law is a herbalist, and I am a pharmacy technician.
Oh, okay.
So it's like she is the pharmacist and I am the assistant. So when I was a kid, I was a little child, and my grandma, I always follow my grandma, and every time she talk about roots, leaves, trees, and she explained about how it helped this product, and seeing in my eyes that somebody knocked our door in the middle of the night, that they're asking for help to their child, or somebody who need help to be cured. And then my grandma will go up in that sense, like, there's this time is, you don't need to pay her. It's just like, this is a pure help to people that I see it and I believe it. Like, oh my God, it's like, how come this thing have a power on her own that she can cure somebody. And even me, it happened one time that I got food poison, and then we live in the province. It's like far from the city. That the hospital is very far from us, and for that my grandma got some herbal that she make a paste, and it's like I don't know, it's a combination of everything, and then she gave it to me, and then in a few minutes, and so I got cured.
Oh.
I will say this because it happened to me, and I one thing that I grew up, I am a sick person. Like, I always get sick, and one thing is I have asthma. That growing up, I don't expose any medication, and then for that my grandma give me, every time I have asthma attack, it's just like my asthma is probably my neighbor can hear me breathing. You know, that's a very, it's like, it's very, very bad chronic asthma that I cannot breathe. I have to, when I want to sleep, I have to sit down because I cannot breathe. So in that time, she will do something like in her power, and I will get cured, and then until my asthma forever gone. But then now that I'm aging, I'm still protecting my my lungs, and so that's why I get away. It's not like if you are smoking, if you are smoking, it's not like I will not be your friend. Of course I will be your friend, but I will give, as a respect, either you give distance to me or I will give distance to you. And then
That's
once
right.
you're not, yeah, it's just like that. I'm not saying, oh, I will not, you're not my friend because you're smoking. But I will not say that. If you're smoking, you can do it, but I will give distance, or you just give distance to me, and then once you're done smoking, come back, and then you can chat with me, talk to me, or laugh with me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's all about like surrendering to your situation and not submitting to other people. It's like you have to surrender to the facts of the things that you're experiencing. And when you surrender to that, because I talk a lot in the Tao, we talk about surrendering, but not submitting.
Yes.
You can't submit to the world, but you have to surrender the facts of your life and your body. And I'm so glad that you found the strength to be able to do that, because a lot of people, they will either one, close themselves off and say, you can't be my friend because you smoke, or be a bad friend.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, for me, it's just I just raised that what, everybody is your friend. Everybody is your friend. It depends how you treat you. But me personally, if I see you are negative to me, and then if I can see something that I can help you, I will do it. But it's up to you. It's up to you if you want to change, because I cannot force you. Like this is one example is right now that I am a mom. My son is he is in spectrum. So to having that child, I first when I learned that my son is different than other kids, and for me in that moment, I felt hurt, like, oh my God, what did I do? I do my best when I get pregnant that I'm healthy in my end, and all of a sudden he is like this, and then I change. It's just like, if you have expectation in your life and you have this kind of person, you have to dive in all the way down to understand your child in his level, because if you can't understand your child, who can understand? So in that point, you are first person or your husband to talk about it, and then say, look, this is what happening to our child. We have to adjust here, because we cannot keep going and going. And what happened to our child? So you have to give time and priority. Which one is priority here? So for me as a mom, my priority is my son. I know I have a career. I know I work hard for that career. But for me, it's just no questions asked. I said like, okay, hon, I think I have to cut. It's not quit. I will not quit. This is no quitting here. So I will say, that's me. This is my thing. I will not quit. I said like, okay, I will adjust my hour. It's okay, you do your full-time job, and then I am the one who will handle this, and then two of us will get together. So this is the foundation that we have to start from for our son.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You're doing so, and I love that your openness to everything that that you believe, and your commitment to it.
Yes, I will, because you know what? Maybe someone is listening to me right now, and then, hey, if Mabel can do it, why it's
Yeah.
me too. Like,
Well, Mabel is Tao, just like everybody else, but she's special too.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, for me, it's just like I'm here for all these 60, probably 67 days, and for me in that day, I honestly I learned so much here in different in different areas, spiritually,
Yeah.
health, doctor, coaches, anything. The thing is, this is how you absorb the positive thing. If you hear negative, just you can listen, but let it slide, go.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it is, because if you keep holding that negative, I remember when my father died, and then my stepdad died in that year. It's like almost a month gap. And then for me
Oh.
to process it, it's just, I'm a person that they said like, oh, you're strong, you can do it. So that's how they interpret me, because I am very, I will say something, in a proper way, in a sweet way, in a polite way. So I think, oh, you can do it, May, you can do it. Like, but for me, there's a time that I'm holding it. I don't know how to process it. And then one day, I wake up early, like midnight, and then I'm sweating. And then for me, because I'm observant, I always, I'm observant. Like I said, like, Han, I think I'm not okay. Why do I have to wake up this, in the middle of the night, and then I'm sweating, and then he's looking at me, and he's not saying anything, and then I said, like, I think I have to call the psychiatrist. And so I called the doctor, right? But I'm not at this point. I'm not I'm not part of this community. So probably if I'm part of the community, I will not talk to psychiatrist, because I'm talking right now. So I'm like this. I'm talking to you. So for me, I think that's the good thing, that when you start talking, especially if you have something in your heart that they need to release it will help you. So I called my doctors, like, hey, I think I need help, and then okay, they give me they put me in, just go to the psychologist, and then I have only one session, and then the psychologist just listening to me and asking me, like, you have to say something, because it's really hard to say. I don't know, I think the way that I accept that loss, it's different. I am become quiet.
Yeah.
And yes, it's like, this is not me. I supposed, I know me. I supposed to talk, and then how come I start being quiet right now? I don't know. It's just like, I think part of, I don't.
You don't have to know. I remember there was a time I had a shaman chiropractor, and he was doing some stuff, and I just started crying. Mm-hmm. And he told me, you don't even have to know what this is. Just let it out. And if you find yourself being quiet, you don't have to define it. You don't have to know why. You don't have to know any of that. All you have to do is listen to your body. Your body is telling you, when you say, I'm being quiet, this is not me. Well, it is right now.
Okay.
Right? Because you're being quiet. So it is you right now. No reason to reject it. No reason to explain that it's not what needs to happen. Because maybe the quiet is the exact thing that you need to move on to the next place that you're going. It's like sometimes, when we stillness and integration, that's one of the verses of the Tao, and it talks about like action yields to stillness, and that stillness is the time that we learn what we gathered through the action. So you do something, and then all of a sudden you're quiet. There's a lot, and this is heavy in Asian culture. And in American culture too, where you don't be quiet. Everything you do is either productive or sleep. And that's it. You know, you're either working or you are sleeping so that you can work more. You know, and that's how, you know, a consumer culture of economics works. And what the Tao says about that is if stillness cannot be achieved, constant action leads to anxiety and wild movements. And wild movements means bad decisions ultimately.
Yeah, that's it. 100%. I'm having anxiety, and you know what, John? What happened is when I hear that issue that our father passed away. You know what happened? I was at work, and I start like I just want myself to be busy.
Right.
That's it. Yes.
And that's fine. That's absolutely fine, because that's what you're doing is using work as a pacifier. You're trying to calm down and not think about stuff. Yeah. And that's fine. But if you don't stop at some point, you are going to experience wild movements and bad decision making and anxiety. Yes, because you need to mature. You need to learn about how you feel about the passing of your father.
Exactly.
And you're avoiding that lesson, but it's such an important lesson, and it's hard. But you lost your father.
Yeah.
He deserves for you to understand what that is, because you know your father is Tao too. That means your father is you. And the idea of losing someone is your experience. And in your experience, if we get rid of your father altogether, your experience of losing a support, like that's what you experienced. You lost a support. And that support meant something to you. And that's what you have to learn about. You have to learn about yourself through this. And that's why stillness is so important. That's why, yes, work until you can deal with it, but don't avoid it forever.
Yes, yeah, that's it. That's the one, because I think, but the thing is, John, the one is it's just combination. Like, you know, I'm working, and then I pretend that I'm avoiding the feeling that I in my heart. That's why I was like, oh my God, I need help.
Well, I'm glad.
but you know, it's an experience that, you know, that it will help you to be more stronger, and you will face in a, you know, if you have another situation, you will be more different, you know.
Right.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. That's so true. Yes.
Mayville, thank you so much for coming up, and thank you for waking up at 5 a.m. Like, I know.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Have a
good day. Okay, I am going to call it there, everybody. Just because it's been a good long talk. I've really appreciated it. Mary, love you. Hope you're well. I'm always. I saw you in the queue and then out of the queue. Same thing with Chelsea, was back in the queue and out of the queue. Sometimes that happens. I didn't want Mabel, I do take people as they come in. Mabel was a new guest and I wanted to take her. And I know I took her up twice, but it was a really great conversation and I'm glad I did it. Okay. So, Martin John, that's me. And this is Tao of the Day. I have a workshop coming up on Saturday, 2 p.m. 11:30 a.m. I don't know why I said 2 p.m. 11:30 a.m. Central Time. And if you want more information on that, you can check out my profile, my website, or my link tree will take you to the yoga studio that's hosting it. It's both online and in person. We're going to talk about Tao and how that ancient text can help lead a modern life. Other than that, I'm awesome, and you probably know that already. but no, seriously, I appreciate you guys coming up and listening to all of this about the Tao, and I hope it's inspiring, and I hope you enjoy it. And I would love. I always love when new people come up. I was talking to, I believe, Deshaun earlier, just about all of the things that I do. Or no, I was talking to Chelsea about the fact that I do these portrait facilitation things that help us recover ourselves, that help us do our work internally. Kathy's going to join me. I've chatted with Kathy. Hey, Kathy, I got your message. I'm gonna send you that 37.
Okay. I just got a quick question. I know you're getting off.
Sure. Yeah.
You said it was Central Time.
Yeah.
What is that in Eastern Time?
It would be 12:30 Eastern Time.
12:30 Eastern Time. Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what it was.
How's the aftermath of all the storms and everything? Are you all settled and back to normal? What's up?
Yeah, I'm pretty much back to normal now.
Okay,
we got power back within about a week and a half, and everybody getting back to doing things and stores being open. I didn't really go anywhere because I didn't want to worry about the roads and stuff, because when we have bad storms here, it's trees fall down, block the roads. And I mean, when I used to have to go out to our farm in Pumpkin Town, I used to bring my chainsaw with me all the time, because if not, I wouldn't be able to get out there because trees would be in the road and I'd have to turn around, find a new way. And I don't mind exploring, but
it's better to just have a chainsaw on you. I like that.
So
that's good.
I always come prepared now when I do things and that, and it's like, well, let me just wait a couple more days just to make sure. And for the most part, all the roads around me were pretty much cleared up and wires up in the air where they're supposed to be, and everybody was getting back out and getting out, and it's doing good.
I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad because it's no fun being locked up and not having power, man. That's
no.
Do you have a generator?
I have solar panels.
Okay.
And a generator.
Okay. And a generator. Is it a gas generator? Like a propane or gasoline, or is it a natural gas generator?
We have a propane generator.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you have some power, you know.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure everybody down there has the little generator.
So everybody's got at least something to keep going, but it's not sustainable for weeks at an end. Like other places are having problems right now. I was like, but we got it for at least a little bit to where it can save our food and stuff, to where, hey, don't go in there, just get it out and be done.
That's right. Yeah. I got the town that I'm in, all the wires in the air as well, and our storms are starting to get worse and worse and worse, and so I mean, I have a small gasoline powered generator, but I will eventually have to get a gas, natural gas generator for just for the whole house. We get a whole house generator.
Yeah.
So eventually,
they have a Generac.
Oh, okay.
Solar panels are good too, especially if you have open fields that you're not using as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Solar probably pretty good.
It's like this my house is sinking, like, because when I bought it, like all the joists were broken. So I got to lift the house up, and then I can start dealing with other things. But first things first.
Yeah.
And since I'm doing it all on my own, it's like I just do section at a time. So slowly. So the time, patience.
That's what I'm working on.
I got plenty of time.
I got things that I want to do, and I want to put a tree house up on my land, and just to have something
beautiful.
fun to go to. And I've been working on that and trying to get the ideas out and the plans and cleaning my yard. And I was like, it takes time, but the vision is there.
Yeah, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's it.
Yep.
Just take it in.
Take a piece and go with it. Let it survive your body. Give it what it needs. Continue the steps.
That's right. Oh, Kathy, it's always wonderful to connect. I'm glad you came up and we chatted a bit. But I'm going to go ahead and sign out, and love you, and you have a wonderful day. And I'm glad you're safe and getting around again.
I am. Thank you.
Okay. Once again, I got a workshop. You can find links in my profile, either on Linktree or my website. If you wanted to contact me, you can either do that on here, or you can do that through my website and stuff. I'm always open and available to communicate. So thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.